Okay, welcome to this lesson, which is dealing with opening up ArchiCAD for the first time and setting up your story settings. So when you start up ArchiCAD, you'll be prompted with this screen, and you can see here that I have some existing ArchiCAD drawings. Obviously you won't, so you have to start a new project. So at the top here it says create new project. Simply put click on that button there. And then it prompts you to select a template. And if you click on the arrow there, you may be prompted with some other templates, but we can just simply choose the ArchiCAD 19 template. It's specifically been created for Australian rules and regulations. Down below that, you've got a work environment. And if it's not selected, please select the standard profile 19. Work environment basically means the way that the page will be set out when you open it up. So click on standard profile 19, click on new, and obviously it then starts to fire up. Now ArchiCAD, being a fairly large program, does use up a fair bit of your RAM, so it does take a little while to boot up. Once it's booted up though, you should be prompted with this screen. We'll just quickly go through where a few things are so you kind of know your way around a little bit. This is the interface here that we can see. This is a plan view looking down on top. These blue markers here is a north elevation, south, west and east, and there's two other markers. These are sectional elevation markers. So this is looking directly down on top of whatever it is that you're going to draw. We'll start down the left hand side. One of the areas that you use the most. This is the toolbox, as you can see, and in the toolbox obviously all of your tools. There is a multitude that we'll address as we go through the tutorials. Combined together with your toolbox, you can see here wall is selected. Here's the info box, which relates to all information about whatever you've got selected from the toolbox. Across the top you've got a whole lot of other drawing tools which we'll investigate along the way. And over on the far right we have what we call the navigator. Now the navigator, as the name might suggest, is a way of navigating between different types of viewing systems. So at the moment we can see here it says stories, and it's given us, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different stories. There's sectional views, there's elevations, and if we scroll down in that navigator a little bit, there's all sorts of things. There's perspective views, schedules, all sorts of stuff. But what I want us to focus on first of all is this concept of setting up our stories. So when you open up ArchiCAD as a default, it gives you these 5 different stories here. To simplify things for us, we're going to get rid of the unwanted stories that we don't want, and we're going to basically just have 2 stories. So to modify these stories here, what I want you to do is to simply click on the story icon, right click, and then go to Story Settings. This box opens up and we can see here that we've got some labels and some elevations, or we might want to call these some vertical heights. The first one I'll just draw your attention to is this one that says AHD. Now AHD stands for what we call Australian Height Datum, which basically means that in the 1970s in Australia they decided that, or surveyors decided that, the high water level mark on the beach, if you like, will be known as zero height. So the mean high water mark all around Australia is where all vertical heights are taken from. So you can see here that it's saying that the Australian height datum starts at 0, which means 0 is the mean high water mark, and it goes to 5 meters above that area. Well, let's get rid of that because it's just going to cause us confusion. So click on Delete Story, and you can see the next story then is GF. GF stands for ground floor, starts at 0. So let's start our ground floor because that's what we're going to be putting our cottage on, at 0. And let's make it start at 0, but then let's make it end, or if you like, the distance from the bottom of that story to the next story will be the height of our walls, which happens to be 2400 millimeters. You see, as you change the settings in one floor, it then adjusts to the next floor here. Now, the cottage being only a single story building, we don't need a first floor, so I select the first floor just by clicking onto it, click on delete. We don't need a second floor, but we do need an RF, which is a roof floor. It starts at 2400, and it really doesn't matter here because there's nothing above the roof floor as to the height to next. So we'll just leave that as 3100, that'll do. When you click OK, it should prompt you with something about you realize that you're deleting stories. That's okay, you hit delete anyway. And then if you look over here on the right hand side, the navigator's now been edited and we've only got 2 stories. Really important though, the story that's in bold is the story that we're currently working in. So if you want to start drawing on the ground floor, make sure you double click on that to make it go bold. Otherwise, everything I put in would go in at a lot higher. Okay, that's basics about setting up your story settings. Yeah, and when you start putting walls in, you'll soon see the differences.